Hi, my name is Winsley, and welcome to my video showcasing a couple more mods for Age of Wonders 4 by the modder Badok. In case you missed it, I did cover his Skirmish mod in a separate video a couple weeks ago, and I will link with a card in the top right hand corner of this video to that one in case you are interested in checking it out. Badok has done quite a bit of work on it since we last discussed it. Hi Badok, how you doing?
Hey, nice to be back talking this stuff through. Uh, I've I've been having a few strokes of inspiration, so yeah, made some more utility stuff. That's kind of I think that's going to be kind of my thing. I'm more into some utility quality of life than making more content. More there are many more talented people to do this for me.
I really like this one in particular. I haven't gotten to use the pings too much, but I really like the idea of being able to say, hey, ally, this is where an enemy is, or hey, enemy, this is where I want to attack your scout, instead of just like being like, hey, it's this specific sector. You can actually ping it. So that's awesome that you did that. I think we're going to start with this utilities mod because it's quite an extensive one. You got like 3 sections here, and this last one is kind of like an umbrella for just additional things. And then we'll go over your supply drop one, which I think you said you wanted to keep separate for a specific reason, right?
Yeah, correct. The issue with supply drop is that I have to modify the income values for the base income values for the pickups in game, and I cannot set this to be an enable disable option. So I decided to keep it separate because for the utilities mode I want it to be just a aggregation of many small features that can be turned on and off at will. So you could theoretically have the mod and play just the base vanilla game without any impact on your gameplay.
All right, I think we're ready to take a look at these things in game. We'll start off with the menu that pops up when you
Mhm.
start a new game. Right here we have options for vision basically, right Badok?
Not just vision. Here you can pretty much configure all the features of the mod. So this is the main configuration menu from which you can go to sub-menus to configure specific things. So you can for example try going into map reveal settings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this will pop up another event that lets you pick your starting vision.
Oh yeah, no, this is cool vanilla. That's like what everybody's used to. But I saw some people saying it'd be really nice to have a button you can toggle to have it so that you could see basically the outline of the map, but you wouldn't have all the information from like actually scouting it, like they had done in previous Age of Wonders game. So I think this second option is kind of like that, reveals the entire map, fog of war only. You won't meet the players or the free cities. That's awesome. That quality of life is in your mod. And then you've got
Yeah,
something
you
different
will.
in there. It's kind of like a mix between vanilla and this, right?
Yeah, you will see the entire map and locations of every other player, but you will still have to meet them to engage in diplomacy.
You're right.
And then there's the third option that I thought would be an interesting thing to have. It just reveals a larger radius of the map around your capital, so that you could start the game making a bit more informed decisions without spoiling the entire map and removing the entire exploration process. Currently, this is implemented in a bit of a silly way that just adds 10 hexes to your capital's explore radius, which unfortunately stacks with wizard tower upgrades because they increase your range of vision. I have an idea to fix it so that it's just the base 10 hexes and won't be influenced by wizard tower.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I think you've done a quite impressive amount of stuff in a short period of time. Age of Wonders 4 has only been out like, what, 3 months now?
Yeah, I was in sore need of a hobby project, so yeah, Age of Wonders 2 is well, a good playground for me, and I really like the game's scripting system. It allows you to do really fun stuff.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the pings earlier. I think most people are pretty familiar with pings in video games, just being able to say, "Hey, this is where we want to like do a fight," or "This is where something interesting is happening," or "This is where the end game has spawned," or something along those lines. So I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but we can just click on it just to see what it is. It's enable or disable, and you know, I don't know if
Yeah,
there's much else we can say on that.
yeah. Best to enable them before we forget, because
Mm-hmm.
as we discussed, this menu is start of game only. And yeah, we can move on to pins.
Right, you mentioned something about this earlier, and this is kind of like in Civ where you're like, I want to turn this into a quarry eventually because I need the X many quarries to get my upgrades, right?
Yeah, precisely. As we've seen on the Steam mod page, there are quite a few of those pins added, and you can. What the mod does is pretty much add a set of spells to your spell book that you can cast on map, and this will create a permanent pin. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to create to make the pins visible only to the caster. There's some weird stuff with markers in the game. So while there are things like quest markers that are only visible to the player, it's hard to actually replicate them. So I had to settle for two two less ideal options. So one option is to have the pins visible to every player. So you could, for example, set a pin next to your ally to kind of guide them uh, what to do and where to go. And you can choose to have private pins, which are kind of like monitoring stations in Age of Wonders Planetfall. This kind of creates an invisible structure that's visible only to you and to enemy units with true sight or ones that are standing next to them. And yeah, because the pins can be visible to other player, it may become a bit of a what's the word?
Abusable exploit.
Yeah. A bit of an exploit. You can limit how many pins there are. You can limit how many pins the players can have to 10. And also, all players have tools to remove pins. Never mind, no matter who created them. So
Nice.
if another player is spamming your capital with pins, you can just cast an AOE that removes them all.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds useful. I don't think I'll be playing with people who do that. But if you are in a situation like that, yeah, it's good to have the ability to just lift them off. They may have accidentally put down more than they needed earlier on, and yeah, it's just in the way, or it's like giving
Yeah,
them vision.
yeah,
But
prevention is better than punishment.
I think that's really cool that this is all in one mod, like one umbrella mod, so that you don't have to be like, hey, let's go get all these mods and make sure we all are on the same version. You can just come in here and disable the ones that you don't want. So I think that that's a really good structure. Should I
Yeah.
enable public pins and private pins, you think?
No, you can.
That's one
Uh,
or the other.
this this is maybe worded a bit weird. Yeah, they can be either private or public. Theoretically, I could make the both sets of pins available, but that would flood your spellbook terribly. So I
Yeah,
opted against it.
I think disable
So
map pins makes sense, but enable private pins and enable, I think the word enable could maybe be switched out. I can think about that and give you a suggestion later. But no, I think that that makes sense. We can leave this on, I think, public pins for now, um, and maybe just 10 pins to see what that looks like. And then that's all the settings. I think we can confirm and actually like do pings and some pins, right?
yeah, exactly.
Might
Um,
just reveal the entire map because we don't have to use a console. Well, we can't use console command in multiplayer, so yay! It's a fun thing. Oh, we got a little resource for pins up here. I like the icon.
yeah, it's
Beautiful.
it's a quest marker icon actually. So yeah, now when you open your spell book, first thing you'll notice is the ping spells
Hmm.
that you can cast. I think currently we are enemies, so only the global and enemy pings will work on us.
So I can
So
like
if you
click
cast it,
this and then you'll see something.
yeah, my vision was pulled to the area you clicked. Let me show you how this works from your end.
Whoa. Yeah, that's
Pew.
cool. That's pretty useful. I love that. I mean, this is, yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. And like it's got a clean interface. Yeah, global. It's got a separate color, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I love
each
that.
ping has its own effect, and they are marked. Yeah, the global has a warning that it does pull the vision for all players, so better not to abuse it too much.
It can really screw up somebody's movement. So you were saying basically in the text part of the mod that people should let people know right before they're going to
Yeah,
use this ping. Like,
warn other players before you use it because this could be used for griefing.
yeah,
If
and
you just spam the ping and pull the camera from everyone, it can screw your movement.
I think if you're like, if you don't have a voice channel, if you're not using a mic, I think the pings could be a little bit confusing, a little bit tricky. But it's really designed for what we do on the weekends when we are playing multiplayer. We're in voice channel and we're just like, hey, we want to like deal with this situation over here, and then we spend like a minute or two just trying to get on the same page of what we're talking about. And this is just saves so much time there.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I've recently noticed an interesting thing that there's a spell in the uh, tier 2 order tome that can be cast on your vassals, and it gives Imperium per turn. What this spell actually does is open up a list that lists all the independent cities that are your vassals. So I wonder if I could use this to create a targeted ping that you could cast. This would open this menu, and you could pick a player that the ping would apply to. I will need to explore this.
Yeah, I love that idea. There's a lot of cool tools. I like that you've got enough to do things like that. Uh, so pins, if I go here, I can do something
Yeah,
with the pins, right? Launch it
yeah,
on like a tile.
this is a just a spell that opens all the pin spells in your spell book because as you can see, there's a ton of them. So having them all available at all times um, w- would be a problem for your gameplay. So yeah, you can cast the spell to list them all and cast it again to hide them.
I see. So if I wanted to hide that one, I would go to the teleporter one again. Is that what you're saying?
No, I meant you can hide all the spells. So if you cast the toggle
Ah,
map pin again,
yes.
this will hide the spells from your spell book.
Oh, I don't even see the pin here. But that
Ooh,
seems useful if
actually, that may be a bit of a problem.
got rid of the pins when you closed your book. Well, I'm sure you'll work on it so you can get this up and running soon. I think like we're gonna talk about with the skirmish mod, you don't just like drop the mod and leave it. Like you're paying attention to what people are requesting.
Yeah, I want to, especially this mod, I want to keep working on it because there are a lot of areas the game could be improved. Unfortunately, a lot of the requests I'm getting are for UI, which is very hard to mod.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, this one package mod is I think I want to keep developing.
I think it's
Okay.
pretty cool. And then I think the eight number is a pretty reasonable thing because, like you're saying, if I wanted to go over to somebody else's space and drop this down, like right now I don't have the vision to do that, but like it would leave vision around people, right? Or is it the
Mhm.
other one that you're talking
No,
about?
only the private pins leave vision because, as I said, they have to be implemented like the monitoring stations, so they provide vision on their own hex. It's not
Hmm.
much, but it's kind of icky. Uh, but yeah, so there's this funny thing about this pin resource. Uh, it's kind of an income resource, but not really. So each turn you get 10 pins. I mean, up to the limit, because each pin costs upkeep to make sure you can't have more than 10. But if you create a pin and cancel it, unfortunately it doesn't refund the resource, so you'll have to wait a turn until it comes back. But yeah, it should still be reasonable to have this the limit of 10. Maybe we could up it to 15 or make it what's the word? Make it changeable, customizable.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's reasonable for now.
Yeah, 10 seems pretty good. If you wanted to do like a +5, -5 on it, I think that some people would like that. But you don't need a limit if like you want more than that. You can just say unlimited.
Mhm.
Uh, you ready to talk about supply drop?
Yeah, sure. Topic of developing these mods. I'm currently working on another feature that would allow you to change, to modify the incomes for each resource separately. So this is kind of like the game pacing settings, but here you will be able to change every setting separately. So let's say you think the game has too little draft and you want more and larger armies faster, then you can apply a modifier to your draft, and every city will create more of it. So you can set this globally and for each player separately, in case you'd like to play with a handicap, for example, or you're playing with a friend that's new and want to give him a leg up.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I think that it's nice to have more options like that at the beginning of any match, really. And I think
Mhm.
that we're gonna get more buttons and more bars that we can play around with as we get more content. I'm hopeful. So we have two cities here, right?
Mhm.
And there's this production pickup right there. Do I need to do anything? You said something about drop off and something like that to me earlier, right?
Okay, yeah. So normally, by default, every resources are delivered to a closest city. With supply drop, I've changed that, and instead of the regular resources, you are getting a stash that's remembered by a script. Yeah, the as you could see, you got two of these stashes. The stash, as I call it, is a lowest amount of resources that can be gotten at once. So the resource pickups give 2, large defended pickups grant 3, I believe, and same thing for mob camps and other things. So yeah, now if you click on your capital,
Yeah.
yeah. Next to the population icon, there says cog icon. Please click it.
Oh,
Okay.
already active.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I can click that
Yeah.
to
So
change it?
and it doesn't do anything. What it means is that by default, all your supplies will go to your capital, but you can pick any other city and mark it as a drop-off point, so that regardless where this city is, the resources won't be sent to the closest city, but to the one you marked. Unfortunately, this cannot happen immediately due to game events system limitations. So the resources are delivered at the start of next turn. So if you set the Oleanis city as a drop-off,
They'll get more than 2 production, right?
yeah, so you can set some long production or something, and you will see that it was delivered. There will be an visual effect as well, so it will be clear that it's got sent.
I think we can end the turn here. I was gonna attack this thing because you said that these things also they get delivered, right? It's not just like
Mhm.
pickups. Here.
Yeah, it's all resource pickups from. Okay.
Say I'm not sure if I see it. Mark as
Ah,
dropped
you
off.
didn't you
Oh, did
didn't
it?
mark it, so
Oh,
it went to your capital.
maybe I already active. Yeah, it looks like it went here instead, huh? And
Yeah, so
if I try to build
if you
something, I'll
produce
have.
something, it should already have pre-production. Yeah,
Yeah, so it
so it
got.
went to your capital.
It looks like it got. Yeah, not 2 production, but something like 65 production from the +2, right?
Yeah, the exact amount is always randomized for the pickups, so I reproduce um, this behavior. So if you now take this food pickup, it will also be delivered on the next turn.
Awesome, I see that. That's pretty cool. So it was gonna get +45. It's at 10. It's gonna get more than 45.
Yep.
Well, that's neat. I like that a lot. That makes it a lot easier to develop your economy. You don't have to like worry about
Yeah,
those
you can
pickups and
focus
such.
on the newer cities when developing them, and then keep the resources more or less equal everywhere.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much supply drops, right?
Yeah, that's nothing more complex about it. It's just this little functionality. I was considering adding it to the utilities, but because of it changing the base game's resource system, I decided against it. Better not to make anything mandatory. As I said, the design philosophy for utilities is to be able to disable everything and play vanilla.
I think we'll show off just very briefly the new hero item thing that you added to the skirmish mod because I think it's a really big improvement and it wasn't too easy for you to do. It wasn't something that you had in the first version of the mod. So I want to like highlight your work and hopefully get some more people playing that skirmish mod. I think it's a great mod. All right, so I just started up a new map with the skirmish mod and this has the new item forge up here, which you can click on to get items to put on your heroes. With the first version of the mod, your heroes could get their signature skills and their hero skills, but they couldn't fill this stuff in. So it's really neat to be able to pick between all those different items that are in game just by like using a little button in here. I didn't quite get how it worked at first, but this just makes it so that you get access to all of the tier 2 armors, right?
Yeah, I was having a bit of a conundrum on how to design it in a way that would be easy to use and not flood you too much with options and buttons, and ended up deciding it would be best to just add a configuration option which types of items are allowed. So there are 4 categories: mounts, armors, weapons, and miscellaneous. And each tier of an item that is enabled. So if you say enable items up to tier 3 and you allow weapons and armors, the item forge will show buttons for T1, T2, T3 weapons and armors from the same tiers, and it just grants every item from this category.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like there's a lot of really fun toys that you can play around with when it comes to equipment and not having access to it felt like you're missing out on a significant part of the game. So that yeah, I've used this in one battle where we were like, yeah, you can get like a couple tier 2s, one tier 3 and one tier 1. But yeah, you could just do it all tier 4s and just have like a little power fantasy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it may be good for the heroes only setting where you play where each player fights with 5 heroes and their leader.
yeah, yeah, totally. I'd love to see a couple more of those skirmishes. I'd be into just like commentating on some people and like a showdown, one of those because they're such interesting fights. It's sometimes hard to like talk and focus on the game at the same time. But yeah, Badok, thanks so much for joining me here. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Uh, I'm going to provide an update for the utilities like tomorrow or the day after, so there's something to look out for. Watch out for it. Look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah.
English is hard.
Uh,
So yeah, thank you for having me. it was nice having an opportunity to sit down and showcase this because especially the utilities, I believe this may be a very useful tool for not just for the multiplayer crowd, also for just regular casual players to have.
100%
So yeah,
agree. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what else you come up with. We'll see you around. Have a good one.
yeah. See ya. Thanks.